Okay, so here we are. Build green, build smart without breaking the bank. Interesting enough for everybody? Fantastic. Let's just get going. Before I start talking to and pick the brains of the experts sitting with me on the dais, I just want to warm everybody up by sharing some statistics about why this topic is so important. And I'll share a few numbers with you. If you look at sustainability in real estate at a global level, there are more than 120,000 green-rated assets across the world, and it's growing. So I want to, maybe if any of you want to take notes, or at least keep these numbers in mind when this panel speaks about a lot of things that they will. One of the parts of the topic is, without breaking the bank, investments in sustainability. Investors manage 120 trillion in financial assets, including real estate, under voluntary climatic change disclosures, right? And there are surveys and studies that have been done which have shown that green certifications in real estate yield premium in terms of rentals and sales. I will not divulge the figures, though I have them. I will let the panel share some of those figures. Now let's come to India, our own country. The green office stock, and I'm speaking only about office because that's where green and sustainability has permeated the most, whereas, but having said that, Sumit will also share with you about some of the assets that he's seen which are on the warehousing side. As of 2023, 61%, that's like 2/3 almost, of Grade A office stock in the country is green certified. That's a big number. And it's growing every year by 83%. We also have some survey figures here in terms of, while this is stock and this is what the industry and the end users want, if you look at the finance side of it in real estate, in the fiscal year 1920, India's green investment flows were approximately more than 300,000 crores, which is 4.4 billion US dollars per annum. But despite these, anybody who I speak with or I hear speak talks about that we need more funding to make more sustainable buildings, to make more green infrastructure. So where are we on this? And the topic today has two parts. I've spoken a bit about green. The other part of this topic is smart. While they're related as well, at the same time, they're also mutually exclusive in their own right. In terms of building smart infrastructure, building smart buildings. Professor earlier spoke about an example of housing. On smart building side, only on the housing side, the smart home market in India has reached a value of $4.8 billion as of 2022, which was 2 years ago. So you can imagine the need, the grassroots need to build more smart buildings, to build more green buildings. When I looked at this topic to be discussed today, I thought this seemed like a rhetorical point. I mean, why would you not build green? Why would you not build smart? And how is it that you need to spend more money to do it because it's the right thing to do? But as I dug deeper, I realized that there are many layers to these questions, and there are many layers to this topic, because what is green today, what is smart today is not a one-dimensional or a two-dimensional topic. There are many layers to it. If you look at multiple sectors, if you look at the opportunities that exist, right at the strategic level to the actual execution level, they're in multiple dimensions. So where, for all of you sitting in the audience, from whichever part of the industry you come from, you may be asking this question of yourself and maybe this panel as to, with respect to what you do, how do you bring more sustainability and more smartness into what you do as far as your own product or service is concerned, and also how do you deliver it in a more green and smart way to your end users? So with that, I will kick off the discussion, and first, Anand, I'll come to you. Do we have mics to share or okay, yeah, I'll come to you. Let's just build a bit on what I just said. How do smart buildings, let's just stick to the, and sustainable buildings enhance energy and efficiency in what they deliver?
Yeah, I'm audible? Yeah, thank you, Gujarat. And before answering your question, since many of you have come from on the, couple of you on the both extremes on my right and left have come from away from Hyderabad, I would love to thank CREDAI Telangana for involving IGBC, who we are a MOE partner, number one. Number two, since you talked about the green and smart and finance, Hyderabad is the world's birthplace of green buildings as far as green buildings are concerned. IGBC's headquarters, which are constructed in year 2004, is the world's greenest building, which has been constructed with the support of all the stakeholders who are present in this room. Our own IGBC headquarters, inaugurated by then President His Excellency Abdul Kalam Saab, is the world's greenest building, which we got the title on year 2003 actually, 21 years ago. And again here, GMR Airport is the world's first passenger terminal building, which got the green building certification in the whole world. So here we are present to, after 20 years, give a big round of applause to GMR team. World's first passenger terminal building to be constructed, and we are an active partner from the Indian Green Building Council. Here again, I have my great friend, philosopher and guide, Mr. Ravi Sai, and a lot of developers, leading developers from CREDAI, who we have showcased green buildings makes business sense. Both green and smart, you will hear from Ravi Sai and more so all our CREDAI friends from Telangana also. So having set the tone, since you mentioned about green, green is not a rocket science. Since you mentioned about an office spaces, you draw a circle of 10 kilometers from where we are sitting, all the commercial office listed A block will be, every office building within the circle will be IGBC certified green building actually. So when we started our center in Hyderabad in 2003, some of the green building products like sensors, carpet, air conditioners came from the Western world actually. So we invested 18% more. Whereas right now, if you talk to the stakeholders who are conceiving by design for office spaces or residential buildings, the incremental cost is not more than 2 to 3% actually. So green is the only way forward. It has been shown from this particular part of the country, more so from Hyderabad and Telangana. Now we are handling 14,000 plus projects. Since you mentioned about the facts, I would love to highlight to you as well as to our friends also who are on the late in the evening, who would love to see that 14,000 projects are going green only in India. As Gurjit mentioned about the global figures as well as India figures, now going green is like our own great-great-grandfathers, they found the 5 elements of nature, which is very, very like 5 elements of nature, Panchaputas, what we call. How do I handle the site? How do I handle the energy efficiency? How do I handle the water efficiency? How do I handle the waste? How do I handle the indoor environmental quality? Thousands of examples are available. Even during the bubble burst, during the IT market not doing well, the tenants started asking only IGBC certified green office spaces. So going green reduces your capital cost also, as well as attracts premium clients. In fact, some of the IT majors, they started mentioning in their own tenders itself, they are looking only for a IGBC certified minimum gold certified office spaces. That has become a mandate. So I would love to keep it very brief. One, the entire stakeholders, including the CREDAI members, they have played a very, very vital role in bringing down the incremental cost, what it was very high in 20 years ago, to 4% now. And abundance of technologies and solutions are available in India to go green without breaking the bank. I will leave it here. I'll come back to you for the second round if time permits.
Yeah, sure. So that's the technical viewpoint. And I think he is safely said that you don't need to really break the bank to go green and build smart. And I love the point that, if you go local, then you can do that easier. Sumit, I want to come to you from a developer's perspective. Do you think this topic does justice? Can we do this without breaking the bank?
Thanks once again for having me on the panel. I was also very relieved to see that it was a glass bottle kept on the table, so I did not feel guilty when I took this sip. I was struggling that if it was plastic, then maybe I had to just not open it. So thank you for the sponsors to have thought of this, at least for this panel. Now coming to the question, I think yes, as a developer, I think it's possible for us to build without going into incremental expenses. I think you've already got a factual number that conventional versus green, the incremental difference is not 2 to 3%. On maximum, our studies have shown that it's 5%. And I think I would rather simplify the answer that if you looked at it from a chief financial officer's prism, because you said developer's prism, then the present value of the operating benefits, whether it's on cost or on premium, pay for itself. So I could actually tell you that it's cheaper. You might spend 100 rupees and 102 on green, but the present value benefits actually make that value cheaper than building convention. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumit. Ravi sir, I want to come to you. But I want to ask the same question, but a little context. From when we started, when 20 years ago somebody said, I want to do a LEED certified and wellness, well came later, building, everybody said, no, it's going to cost a lot. So one really had to convince, to Sumit's point, show the ROIs and those kind of things. Do you think this problem, this perception that you have to really break the bank, even if it is a piggy bank, to go green, do you still see this as a challenge?
Yeah. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. First, we need to understand that green is the way for future. We have neglected Mother Earth for too long, and organizations like IGBC have created a lot of awareness on the developers and so many other things. Now we all feel the need to go green. If we don't go green, there is no future. We will not leave any future for the kids. Obviously, the bottom line is very important. As you rightly said, maybe 20 years back it was 20% or 18% costlier, notional cost. Because of awareness, because of lot of green products availability, the cost, whether it is 2%, 1%, 3%, it has come down. I just want to share one thing is that if it was really breaking the bank by going green, I just want to share my own theory with that. We have done 60 million SFT of green buildings. 30 are completed, 30 are just going to be completed. If it was not making commercial sense, if it was really hurting our bottom, we wouldn't have done that. Because it's a smart, use the smart way to reduce the cost. Definitely, by adopting the green principles, we can do a lot of savings. The demand load in the building can be halved. The cost is coming down. Yes, there are some products which are a bit expensive, but a lot of innovative things and use of new technological methods cuts down our cost. Your operational costs are drastically reduced. I just want to share that if you go to any building now, the air conditioning cost, now, earlier it was just maybe 1 bedroom, we used to have 1 air conditioner. Now, literally, 3 bedroom, we'll have 4 air conditioners. We tried putting a centralized air conditioning system for a large communities. The connected electricity load is reduced by 30%. So we saved a huge cost in terms of the establishment cost, the buyers save a lot of money in terms of the operational cost. So going green definitely is not going to break the bank. In fact, it's the most cost-effective and the need of the hour.
Okay, while you're holding the mic, I want you to keep holding it.
Sure.
Because I have a follow-on question which is emerged from a couple of things that you said. You used the word technology.
Yes, sir.
Right? As we are finding that out for many things that we do in real estate, which traditionally has been a labor-intensive industry for us, whether you are managing projects or you are executing them, whichever side of the industry you belong to, and we have the luxury that we have population, we have people who are qualified who we can put into projects, but that's becoming more and more challenging as we go further. Labor shortages, manpower shortages, management shortages, et cetera, et cetera. So on the kind of work that I do for my firm, I'm looking at technology as a solution provider. So do you think technology solutions, smart solutions, can push the sustainability goals further for adoption and for better implementation as well?
Absolutely. Only technology is the only way. We got to embrace technology into construction. Unfortunately, in India, we are far behind in adopting the technology. If you go to Middle East or Singapore or to Australia, the adoption of technology is too great. If you look at it, we were doing traditional construction, brickwork, plaster. Now brickwork mason is a dinosaur, you don't find them. Now slowly we went into my one construction. But the future is either it's a steel work or a precast construction, because we need to cut down the waste. We need to minimize the labor force. We are doing one precast building, one of the largest in Asia. I require minimum 3,000 people to do the project. We are managing with 750 people only. The amount of embedded carbon reduced, 47 lakh kilograms of embedded carbon are reduced on a single element of precast by using hollow core technology. The cost is slightly high now, but the quantities are drastically reduced. My wastage has become zero. We have incorporated the whole design process through BIM. I literally don't see any wastage on site, zero wastage. It's not a marketing strategy, but it's realistic. With pride, I'm telling that there is no wastage on site because we do the BIM technology designs. So I know exactly where to put the hole, what level it has to be done. So on site, I don't do anything. It's a manufactured product I assembled at site. Zero wastage. Only 750 people we are managing it. In addition to that, removed completely brickwork, Ecotech walls have come. In residential also, all the firewalls are Ecotech walls. Literally, they go like a, drywall partitions, but 2-hour fire rated. The AI technology has been extensively used. If you look at NEOM project, how AI technology is used on the NEOM project is, we just can't believe it. We are trying to embrace that. You can do project management, you can do HR recruitment, you can, in the construction, because in India, we are very slow in adopting the technology into the construction. I think the technology will greatly help to cut your cost. And I feel that's the only way to cut the cost.
Great, thanks for that detailed input. I'm going to pivot a little bit because while these gentlemen were talking, and over the last 25, 30 years in most of our grade A or what is called grade A, grade B, grade C cities, we've been constructing a lot. But now we are getting to a point where, like any developed real estate market, we have a lot of stock which is old or getting old. And one of the questions which is being posed a lot is that how do we reuse that stock? Because quite a bit of that stock, even if you look at office for a minute, doesn't really cut the benchmark that new end users are looking from a sustainability and smartness perspective, right? So my question is to you, Anand, in terms of what do you see as the opportunity, or is there a way to retrofit old buildings, keep and make them sustainable, make them cut that benchmark of sustainability, acceptability, and also not break the bank while doing it?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. In fact, I love working with existing projects because greenfield projects are tough, but everything and anything can be done because nothing has drawn. Even an architect has not drawn the first line. Whereas the retrofits, we in India Green Building Council, IGBC, has a rich experience of handling a 100-year-old building, which is Tata's headquarters, Bombay House in Mumbai, which was consuming 200 electrical units per square meter per annum. By adopting the IGBC's first rating program in the country for the existing buildings, by enhancing the glass, the full credit goes to the Tata's group and the entire team involved in it, enhancing the glass facade, air conditioning, we are able to bring in a fresh air. We are not able to compromise on the lighting comfort. We are not compromising on the air conditioning comfort. We have enhanced it. The power consumption from 200 kilowatt hours per square meter per annum has come down to 100. Can you believe it? 50% reduction in the electrical power consumption, which has an ROI, return on investment, less than 18 months. In fact, the whole team has shown that it is better to invest on a retrofitting project than the tongue-in-cheek, and I can say, gold and bonds are the market actually. Same is the case. One side, we have a rich experience of handling 100-year-old heritage buildings, 5 years, 10-year-old IT parks, which has been certified or not certified 10 years ago, 5 years ago. They were able to adopt our IGBC's existing building norms and reduce the power consumption. As you heard from Mr. Ravi Sai Garu, conventional buildings, IT park, consume the electrical load. All electrical engineers and project owners, they know, 10 to 12 megawatt per million square feet will be the electrical load they talk about in a conventional buildings. Whereas in an IGBC certified green buildings, we are able to reduce it to 5 to 6 megawatt per million square feet. So your electrical demand comes down, your transformer capacity comes down, your operational cost comes down. In fact, we have hundreds of classical examples of developer constructed core and shell buildings, whether it is in BKC in Mumbai or Financial District or IT High-Tech City in Hyderabad, Siriseri Complex in Chennai, Kakanadu in Kochi, or in Salt Lake City in Calcutta, hundreds of projects which has adopted IGBC rating program, which was able to provide the lighting level, air conditioning. Fresh air is very important. 9 out of the 10 conventional offices, they will be able to maintain the temperature, but not the humidity and the fresh air. So by adopting our rating program, in fact, we are the IGBC was the first one to bring in a health and well-being even before the COVID has arrived actually. So here the answer is, by adopting the IGBC's existing building rating program, many retrofits are able to bring in substantial reduction in the energy bill, water bill, enhanced daylight and views, so that the lock-in period of the end users or tenants, not 3 years or 5 years, they are able to lock in more years, as well as they are able to, the owners of the building also able to pass on the benefit to the tenants actually. So imagine I was operating in a conventional building. If I walk into an IGBC certified retrofit building, the people remain the same, process remain the same, operational parameters remain the same, but my energy bill has come down by 40%. We have hundreds of examples from across all the 5 climatic zones of India actually.
That's great. And I think just to add to what Anand said, I think if we are able to do that intentionally and with purpose, you see so much real estate which sits in the inner city areas or erstwhile CBDs in most of our big cities, which is underutilized for the same reason that it doesn't make the benchmark of today's times. It's good location, better infrastructure than it was earlier, accessibility is better, etc., etc. So if we can enhance that, I think it will still reduce the carbon footprint because you're not putting in more concrete and cement and everything else, I want to continue to work and talk a bit more about the money and the finance part of it. So Sumit, I want to come to you, but I want to pretext the question on green finance. Now, green finance, as all of us know, is playing a very important role, has and will continue. And it is one thing where we've seen initiative by the government as well as the market or the private part of the economy. In terms of government initiatives, they've introduced several policies to promote green finance, including tax incentives, etc. And the green rating for integrated habitat assessment, which is GRIHA, actually targets that. And in the budget of 2024, it provides support to green finance for real estate as well. And it gives capital gains tax benefits to REITs and so on and so forth. While this is something which is happening at a policy level, ready for adoption at the ground level, Sumit, from your perspective, how do you think this impacts the overall cost and return of cost when it comes to real estate projects? And also, do you already see or do you perceive any challenges in the actual execution and adoption of these policies on the ground?
So I think there are two buckets, and many of the people who are sitting in this room would be developers of residential real estate. And then there is another market, which is developers of offices, retail, warehousing, godowns, which are what I call the lease model. And I think that the financing parameters and answers to this question are different for both of these buckets. The simpler answer is, I think, for the institutional developers which are building to lease. I think there is a certain robust market, especially globally, especially in global private credit, where a lot of sovereign capital funds, which is the funds managing the sovereign wealth of many nations, are having crisp green finance policies. And while it is not cheaper than traditional cost of debt, I think the pool of this dedicated green finance increases your chances to access that capital. So it's almost having a new category of debt providers. So therefore, if you are having a green building, you have access to another pool of capital, necessarily not cheaper, which is a big myth in today sometimes, that green finance can be cheaper. The second part of the answer I think is for residential real estate, which I think is more of a localized country-to-country agenda, because the government plays a big part, the housing finance companies will play a big role, RBI will play a big role, and just like the green policies around CG, around capital tax that you just spoke of, I think you might see, not today but tomorrow, a policy where you might get some interest rebates if you are buying a green home. And therefore, I think this policy framework will drive green finance forward on the residential side.
Yeah, thanks Sumit for bringing it up. In fact, when we started working on the green homes in 2010, SBI, I heard somebody talking from SBI, SBI was the first one to give a soft loan for the IGBC certified green homes. There was that time processing fees were there. No processing fee if I am buying an SBI home loan, if I am taking SBI loan and getting into an IGBC certified green homes from a developer. No processing fee and 25 basis point lesser on my interest. So theoretically speaking, I am only paying 11 months of EMI in a year rather than 12 actually. And then down payment is also 5% or 10% less actually when compared with the conventional homes. So here again, we signed an MOU with the National Housing Bank of RBI and a lot of funds, as Sumit mentioned, AFW Bank, KFW, AFD from France and all, $1 million have come to the green home end users who avail this green loan, softer loans or lesser interest rate for the IGBC certified green home projects. So several fundings are coming up over here. I would love to highlight, as Sumit mentioned, about the residential market. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Ravi sir, I want to come to you. You spoke very passionately earlier about technology and 30 million square feet of as construction all done. And I have a connection there, but I'll come to that connection later in terms of marketing. But have you seen a change in the demand from your end users in terms of telling you what do they want in terms of the product that you deliver to them, in terms of its smartness, sustainability, etc.?
Yeah, I think thanks to IGBC, who's actually helped a lot of awareness of green buildings. I mean, developers like us and individual buyers, everybody start understanding what the green building is. You know, we have made a commitment that all our buildings has to be green building. There is no, you know, when we launch a project, it has to be a green building. We made that commitment. So the developer, the buyer exactly knows that, you know, and I'm buying the property from X, Y, Z, it has to be a green building. Now they're also increasingly asking, you know, they are demanding the green buildings because they could save the water, they could save their bills, and they could have a better ventilated. We provide almost 82 to 83% of open space. It's a huge land bank, you know, available. So a lot of principles of, you know, IGBC and green building are incorporated, which makes them to be happy to live in. A simple example is when we just launched it, we sold on day one 1473 flats. That's really, you know, we felt very happy because people understood that it's a happy home to live. You know, whether they understood full about greenness or green building, but they understood that if I come to this place, I'll be happy and I'll be, you know, well ventilated. You know, my power bills are less, my water bills are less. It's there in their mind. So I think definitely it helps the green building.
So you've actually taken away my thunder because I was trying to connect what this discussion is to what Professor was saying earlier in terms of creating a differentiation for your product, you know, from a marketing, sales and marketing perspective. So last question from both of you, one by one. Maybe you've already addressed it, but you can say again. Do you see, because ultimately it's all intentional, it's all there, good for the environment, IGBC of course leading from the front, but as creators of products and services, both residential, commercial offices, Sumit, and also warehousing requirements and hotels, etc., and the airports, how much does it help, you know, driving these goals of smart buildings, sustainability, how much does it help in today's time when, thank God, almost everyone is doing it? How do you use these to differentiate your products from a marketing perspective?
Sir, first I think you got to firmly believe that the smart technologies or all these things helps to develop, you know, create these green buildings, and green buildings really help. Once you believe in that, you will be able to create the difference in your product. We at my home, I think we made commitment that we firmly believe that green building is the future, and adoption of technology to achieve the green building is the way forward. And we work tirelessly with all the technological partners or, you know, the knowledge partners like IGBC, various people to achieve that. I think there is no other way. If you have to be in the market to survive, you got to adopt it. Otherwise, you'll be left out.
I'll keep it short, Gurjot. I think it has to be done for the very simple and obvious reason that it is the right thing to do. And I think if that doing the right thing and benefiting the planet, benefiting Mother Earth, as we all call it, is helpful for your business, it should be a secondary aspect. But the primary reason why somebody and everybody in this room ought to be adopting green is because it's the right thing to do. You know, the profit can come later.
Great, thanks. We're at the end of our time, so I'll sum up what I noted from whatever this learned panel spoke about. Some of my favorite points, first one, Anand, that you mentioned was, in order to save yourself from breaking the bank now, we can buy local. Things are available here, so you don't necessarily need to spend 30–40% on import duties to create a sustainable asset. You spoke about cost of investment pays for itself, Sumit, what you said. Mr. Ravi Sai, you spoke about 30 million square feet of green assets, all delivered. Even if the cost goes up, the quantity comes down, and the wastage is zero. I have noted zero with a highlight, which is great, which is very, very compelling. I hope everybody is taking note of that. And we spoke about how to repurpose and retrofit old assets. Sumit spoke about, access to green capital. Instead of looking at it at an asset level, you look at the pool of assets. Of course, it's going to come at a cost. And last, I think the panel did a great job in explaining in whatever little time we have or had in terms of how do you use these to differentiate your products. Ultimately, you have to sell your products and services in the market. They have to appeal to the end user. I love the fact, Sumit, you said we got to do this because it's the right thing to do. And I think the panel demonstrated very well that you don't really need to break the bank. In fact, you can smile your way to the bank by growing green and growing smart. Thank you.